Hey guys, Tommy G, Middle-Aged Millennial, and where are we? We are, of course, on the GC, coming to you from a different angle here on the in the GC studio, aka my balcony, and I'm just going to move this pot plant over. Whoop, and I'm hoping that this stand is going to work properly for us. And that it does not come away from it's a makeshift stand, and I need this phone to be all good. Anyway, yeah, we have an exciting episode today of Middle-Aged Millennial. We're going to have Dr. Peter Rouse coming into the house any tick of the clock because we're going to be talking about a very serious issue today. You might have heard me mention a couple of times that chronic disease, and according to World Health, if you go to the World Health Organization website and you look up chronic disease, you will learn there that we in the Western world are dying 70% of the time because of chronic disease. So the big leader in that is CVD, or cardiovascular disease, and that's basically having a heart attack and not making it through. I think the statistics are that 30% of the people survive, and then a certain percentage of that make it to the hospital. Not a great statistic. Something you don't want to come across, and a lot of people don't know that they may actually have heart disease, right? Now, if your biomarkers, like a calcium score, which is the big one that the Western medicine pushes pretty hard, is a marker. It's not always, from what I've learnt, and don't take my word on this, gather your own opinion from doing some research on Google, but that it's that calcium scores are not absolute. And we are all different genetically, but there is a certain level of correlation. So it's certainly one to have a look at, and make sure that your calcium score. And I think if you're in the US now, you can get it for as cheap as $75 or $100 just to go and get you an MRI done and getting your calcium score checked, right? And if you're 100 or below, you're moderate risk. 100 and above, you're moving into the high area, and you kind of would want to be preventative about that. And then if that's the case, that may then be something worth checking a little deeper and getting a CT angio check, right? Which is when they put you in the machine that kind of whirls around, you go in and out. I had that done when I was turning 50, and for no reason apart from just doing my annual, executive level check. Still working in the corporate world, fit triathlete, and I had done a number of triathlons, and in fact, before I turned 50, I wanted to do my first Ironman type of event. I did the half Ironman, also known as a 70.3. As in 70.3 miles that you cover. So you're doing, You're doing a 1.9 kilometer swim. That's kind of like a 1.3 mile for US, I think. Then you're doing about an 80 or 90 kilometer bike ride up and down some hills. And then, hey Owen, hey Troy. So you're doing a 90k bike ride, and then you're doing, after you've warmed up, after those first two, then you go and run a half marathon. And I did that in the tropics, trying to be like Tommy. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you want to follow that trail completely, Troy. You might have to pave your own way, buddy. But there's a few things back there that if I knew what I know now, I would have taken a different route. But life's a journey. You learn, right? I did the event, I think in 6 hours 55 was my time. I was pretty happy with that, and some of my prep the day before was having a couple of pina coladas, thinking I'm absolutely bulletproof. And this was around August of, I was 49. So it's about 3 years ago that I did that event right on the tropics, on the equator, the island of Bintan. And we're getting some funny light happening here. So we're waiting for Dr. Rouse to come into the house. Let me just check if he's around. Not yet. So he should be here shortly. So that was a goal that I wanted to achieve before turning 50. And I got to stop looking at myself and look into the lens so I can get some eye contact with you. And then on turning 50, so I'd done a number of like duathlons, and I mean, this was all a journey, right? I didn't want to be a triathlete ever. It just kind of grew that way after I'd lost a fair bit of weight about 5-6 years earlier. In my earlier 40s, 43, 44, and I'd lost about 11 kilos on a program where I had a doctor. It was at the Singapore, the Singapore Sports Medical Centre, because everything I was trying that used to work to lose weight wasn't working anymore. So I lost some weight there. My trainer at the end, the personal trainer, she was fantastic. I was going there 3-4 times a week. My dietitian or nutritionist gave me some paltry advice, which was crap actually, now that I know what I know, around nutrition. And the doctor would just check on me. So really it was the personal trainer that gave me all of the good stuff to burn off the fat, which I did. And 11 kilos, 10 was the goal, got there, haha. And then I said to her, look, how do I now keep the weight off after this 6-month program, which has been great? And I've learned how to get rid of it. I've built my confidence, and I like the way I now look. She said, well, we can do a half marathon. And I said, are you out of your mind? There's no way I'm doing a half marathon. And she said, have a think about it for a week, which I did. Had to think about it, went and did it, and trained. She gave me a program. And it was the simple things every day that got me to the goal of being able to run 21 kilometres plus. In fact, you run about 22 kilometres the week before in your training, which I did on my own. And that was a huge psychological and personal victory. I'd lost a couple more kilos in the process. So I'm feeling like I'm pretty healthy right now. Went and did a number of marathons, got bored with that, then started doing duathlons. So I wanted to ride bikes. Went and bought this beautiful Italian Pinarello bike, which I still have today with the electric gear changing, all the bells and whistles, and loved that part. And I'd be going out, partying at night. There was one time I got home for a duathlon at about 2 a.m, and I had to be up 3 hours later to go and do the duathlon. And got up, still feeling a bit groggy, and went and knocked it out, and probably didn't realise the amount of damage I was doing to my body. And in fact, endurance stuff is not great for your body. It's not healthy. It's going the other side of the extreme. Now here's where it gets more interesting, is that I then, on turning 50, went and got some deeper testing done. I thought, I'm turning 50, it's a big half century, I'm going to go and check everything out. And a friend of mine referred me to the Singapore Aviation Medical Centre, and it was part of the airbase. And of course, you've got all these F-18 pilots and whatever in there, and then me, because they had a private practice they were running as well. And they said, look, do you want to do a CT angiogram? And I said, yeah, let's go do that. What is it? What's involved? Oh, they put you in a machine, they check for coronary occlusion and things like that. And so I had that done, and discovered that I had a fair bit of rust in the pipes, and especially in the one they call the Widowmaker, the LAD, which is the biggest artery across the front of the heart that gives most of the oxygen required to the heart. Now, being a triathlete over the years as well, I would have developed a lot of collateral artery formation around the heart, so extra blood or oxygen to the heart, and taking the other blue blood sort of away to be reoxygenated through the lungs. So that probably stood in my favour. Here's the thing. Being fit is not necessarily being healthy. People don't understand that, and they think they're bulletproof. I thought I was too, until I made this discovery. Now, that was 3 years ago, and then I was brought into the health system. Now, that was an experience. And wow, people rubbing their hands together wanting to get in the side of me. Cardiologists wanting to put stents in. I think they were going to make $45,000 for potentially 3 stents. Any opportunity to get something inside. And that was a shock. That was a eye-opener. And I thought, really? So after I'd been sold $450 by the medical industry of Lipitor for cholesterol and blood thinners and a bunch of other shit, which I have not touched to this day, I went and started doing my own homework and taking responsibility for my own health and thinking, well, I'm working in the IT industry, how complex can this be? And started to learn that there's a lot you can do for your own health, and started to learn how the whole food industry, health industry works, much to my dismay and I have to say disgust and disappointment and sadness. So there's a lot of self-interest and money making, and then realised that it was all about following, chasing the dollar, following the dollar to see why certain decisions are made certain ways in the system. So the system is broken. Now that brought me to the point of learning about my health well enough to then go and learn about nutrition. And so I went plant-based, not vegan. I went what they call WFPB, which is whole food plant-based. Listened a lot to Dr. Michael Greger and a number of other people, Dr. Professor Esselstyn, Dr. Dean Ornish, read their books, listened to their podcasts, etc., and then learned that you could reverse a lot of the situations that are related to heart disease. Another one, Dr. William Davis, who's very passionate against the industry, and he'll subscribe to you that you need to get rid of grains, which I have done. I hadn't done it actually because I was still plant-based up until probably the last couple of months. I'd been plant-based for about 2.5 years until January this year, when omega-3 was lacking in my system, and I needed to start to pick that up. And probably we'll be doing also in a liposomal form so that my body absorbs it better, but fish. So not only that, a lot of my self-testing in genetics and using something that a lot of people have heard me talk about, which is Personal Health 360, helped me get to understand my body a lot better at the genetic level, genetic expression level, which is what it's all about now. Not just your genome, but which of your genome, which DNA or which genes are you loading as software packages that you're expressing, that you're actually using in your computer. Because you can switch them on and switch them off, depending on epi, meaning outside, Greek term, outside of your genes, right? Also having come from, being of 100% Greek descent, although I was born in Australia, hence the English, the fact that I speak English and with an Australian accent, Hippocrates said that let food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. He was also the same guy that said, do no harm. Yeah, well, same Hippocratic related to oath, sorry, the Hippocratic Oath is also related to Hippocrates. Go figure. So anyway, it's been a big, humongous intro, and I'm wondering where Dr. Rouse is. But thought I'd get the story in as to why this is so close to my heart, as the title says. So let me just grab my phone so I can flick him some abuse separately on the side and see where he is. So just hold on, guys. Okay, so we'll go for the monitor. So since then, my cholesterol, just to let you know, has changed significantly. I went back to not the cardiologist that wanted to get $45,000 out of me from trying to sell me a procedure, but I went back to the general practitioner that I did the assessment for at the Singapore Aviation Medical Centre, and he was stunned. He said, "My God, the medication's working quite well. Your cholesterol is like perfect." And I said, "Interesting." I said, "I haven't taken any of the cholesterol stuff." So he then kind of looked at me in amazement, and let me just see where. I probably should have checked before we went to air if Dr. Rouse was in the house. Let me just ping him now. Hey, bud, we are on. Doing big tap dance, I think I'll tell him. Doing big tap dance story intro. Dance story, would be good if I could spell. Intro, where are you? Especially after I've really talked this one up. So my cholesterol was, thanks Elisa. My cholesterol was perfect, as he said, and 1 p.m. Oh, what time is it now? So it looks like we got daylight savings screwed, I think. So I'm wondering whether he's going to come on now. Yeah, he's laughing. No, is he laughing? Yeah. Let me just reply as Messenger crashes like it has been lately. Okay. Screwed up. Times, as happens on these spontaneous FB lives. Now or later? Question mark. So I then, he was stunned that I had changed my diet, worked out what was right for me to eat, and in fact he was so stunned that the assistant told me later, when she was getting some other results back to me later that day, that the doctor could not believe that my cholesterol was so good. So my triglycerides all dropped off. My HDL went up significantly. LDL pulled back. Now, let's remember that there's also a big cholesterol myth. And when Dr. Rouse gets on here, so Peter Rouse, he will probably refer to the big cholesterol myth. There is on YouTube, if you perhaps just search cholesterol myth, you'll see some stuff. He can do it at 1. So that's going to be later on. What we're going to do is we're going to split this out. So I'm going to do this part of my story, and then we're going to have to take a break and wait about 40 minutes for Dr. Rouse to come on. So 2-part series, and with an intermission that's going to be in between, guys. So sorry about that. My screw up, I guess. But what was I going to say? HDL, LDL, we need a certain amount of LDL, and the brain needs it. But you've got to be careful of some of the ones that is the small. I'm still heading home. Okay, just picking up these messages here. You've got to be careful of some of the small particle LDLs that penetrate the endothelium that then cause inflammation. Is the ones, you forgot daylight savings. There it is, thought so. Is where inflammation can be caused. So you've got to check for things like lipoprotein little a. Now, doctors, for some reason, don't do that test in general, and the reason why is because you can't actually treat it with pharma. From what I have read, it's CoQ10, what I've been told, and niacin, right? Vitamin B3 is what's required there, and there are other things to be able to clear cholesterol. Nattokinase out of Japan, which is that process that I think soybeans kind of go through for that natto sort of fermented thing that gets formed. So yeah, I'm just reading into that now, and having learnt that from another great podcast that, if you're into cardiovascular health, Dr. Joel Kahn has a great podcast. He's a cardiologist, and he's got some great information around there, around heart health. Dr. Esselstyn, who was the founder of the Cleveland Clinic, where some of you might know Dr. Mark Hyman, who's got his Broken Brain series 2, featuring right now for free if you get on over this next few days on the internet. He's also there, lovely man. And Dr. Dean Ornish with his Spectrum diet. So these things are reversible, and I know because I'm proof of it. My cholesterol is near perfect. I'm doing some tests right now. I get things tested every 3 months around my bloods, and also with HSCRP, right? High sensitive C-reactive protein is the other one. We'll hear more about this stuff and more of the genetic predispositions around it with Dr. Rouse, but that's another good one. So I tell you what, we're going to take an intermission around here. So you guys have been on for the first part of this. You can take a break, go and make yourself a coffee, maybe have a little evening supper. Not too late, remember. Dr. Longo, the fasting guru, says about 2 hours at least before going to sleep. Finish sucking in those calories, because you need that factory to be able to do the rest, to then digest and let all the recovery stuff happen while you're sleeping. We'll leave it right there, guys. Sorry about the screw up, but hopefully we gave some value right there. And I'm just having a look here at what Elisa said. I was just thinking about that oath. Some do the Hippocratic Oath and others do the hypocrisy. Isn't it funny how those words are so similar, and unfortunately it's so bloody sad. But yeah, nice little play on words. Something here from from Owen, inspirational. In addition to the ubiquinol, so CoQ10, yeah, and NRB3, have added choline. Yes, that is another one. Thanks, Owen. We'll check results and let you know. Fantastic. Nattokinase is the other one to go and check out for clearing up arteries. The other one is exercise. It's lifestyle. And that's why I attune to an epigenetic way of living now, and I do that with Personal Health 360. I can help you get a discount on that if you're interested. I know Elisa started, and I think January you said, Elisa, when we interviewed you about a couple of weeks ago. I didn't know that you'd actually taken it on, so I'd be interested in your thoughts. But you know, it's the framework that I use in coaching people towards where they should be specifically for them. I know I said I'd shut up a moment ago, but Owen kicked me off again. And I'm now studying precision nutrition, and that stuff's just rolled up. I've been so excited. I've been waiting months for the intake, and so we're going to get even deeper on the nutrition piece for peak performance, especially for executives, which I coach, bringing them the best value that I can while they're driving their Formula One race car, which is their bodies, and you've got to look after that thing if you want to make it to the end of the race. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. We'll be back on the hour in about 35 minutes with Dr. Rouse to take this further as we go deeper into the physiological side. And don't miss that. I mean, Peter Rouse is a phenomenon and an enigma in himself, and what this guy does just outside of this is, and a lot of it, a lot of confidential stuff that he does as well. So he's a man in the know, and let's find out from him and get his spin on CVD. I just did the free test. What a great resource, even just in the basic info. Yeah, you can do a free one. Combining all the sources of the info gives a fuller picture. It does, you know, and I'm just trying to pull it all together, Lisa, to try and decrapinate it. It's so fucking confusing, and there's so much crap that is marketed. And, you know, Peter Rouse is one of the people that keeps me honest, because he is an expert. And I just want to try and see if we can, you know, I love digging for the truth. And truth is different for different people, I learn. And then finding out, okay, well then what's right for everybody specifically. And health is getting to that point right now with the technology that's available, and the research, and a lot of it around the gut, which we'll be bringing to at some other stage. But right now it's about the heart, because without that little baby, and the brain and the stomach, the three of them need to work hand in hand. We'll catch you at the top of the hour in about 30 minutes, guys. Remember to enjoy that 30 minutes. Go and have that coffee. I'm going to brew up something special myself, and we'll be back. Enjoy the intermission and enjoy your coffee right here, right now. See you on the next one in 30 minutes with Dr. Rouse being in the house. Bye, guys.